Hello and welcome back to my channel. Right, I'm going to talk a little bit first about my very testing week, and I'd written down in a sort of note on my phone, this is a very testing week, and if I don't have a plan for this week I'm going to fall flat on my face. Excuse me, that's my phone talking. So I was aware that I had a really difficult week. Difficult's maybe not the right word. I'm using that to explain it wasn't an ordinary week for me. Firstly, we're having a new bathroom fitted, so we've got the builders in. So we haven't had a bathroom all week. And fortunately, we have lovely friends and we are showering 3 or 4 streets away, which has been, it's nice. It's nice when you know you've got good friends and they really don't mind you borrowing their bathroom. We have got a separate loo, so we're okay there. But not having a bathroom all week, which is something you take for granted, having builders working in the house all week, which is something which is out of the ordinary, having your house upside down, because if you do one room in your house, it upsets every room. I think people will understand that. It makes life feel like a bit out of control. So ordinarily, it would have been a case of, well, the builders are here all day, they don't go till tea time, what are we going to do about cooking? We won't bother, let's get a takeaway. That's easy. But instead, I knew I had to have a plan in place. So I did some batch cooking at the weekend so that I'd got meals I could just put in the oven. That's another story in itself, because we put our microwave away for a while. We're trying to go back to doing things the old-fashioned way. And I have to say, so far, I haven't missed the microwave. But I am using my oven more, which is nice. And food does taste better. So, yeah, there was no nipping out for a quick takeaway because we were tired at the end of the day and the builders snowing just gone. I put a plan in place. I did some batch cooking. Made sure I had meals for myself. Breakfast is an easy one because it's prepared in 2 or 3 minutes before the builders come. Batch cooked for lunch. Had my meal in the evenings. Which tends to, for me, not be my hot meal of the day, but had that quite on plan. I had things like this, and can you hold that in place, Joe, so it shows, please? Can you say what it is? Steamed?
It's 2 steamed Scottish salmon fillets.
Yeah, so 2 steamed Scottish salmon fillets. They're from Sainsbury's at £4.75, and I found them a godsend this week because having one of those and a pile of quickly steamed vegetables as an alternative from one of my batch cooked meals set me in really good stead this week because it was quick and it was easy. The salmon's already cooked, you don't reheat it or anything, you just eat it cold and it's absolutely lovely. So things like that to make life easier, been a great godsend this week. So I dealt with having no bathroom. I've been away for 2 days this week because we had a family funeral and I went to stay with my brother and his girls for a couple of days, which could have been testing. You know, you're staying in not a stranger's house because it's family and you make yourself at home and you're very much made to feel at home and you're very welcome. But it does give you an opportunity to think, sod the plan, I'll just eat what everybody else is eating, or we're going to a funeral, I'm just going to bury my head in the beige buffet food, which for me would have been old behaviour. What I chose to do this time was avoid the dining room. There was a really good spread, but it wasn't for me because it's my trigger foods. So I just had a plan in place, took food with me where it was appropriate, made myself comfortable with their stuff where it was appropriate, and just carried on as normal. I didn't use it as an excuse to come off plan. Now, it was quite funny because on the evening following the funeral, a great crowd of people went out for an Indian meal and I was shattered by then. And I decided I was going to volunteer to be a dog sitter. So I stayed home with the lovely little dog called Moss. Had a really, really nice evening. When it came to the end of the evening and I was like, it was about 11:15, I'm ready to go to bed. I thought I'll just put things tidy in the lounge before I go to bed. Put my hand on the coffee table to pick up my mug to take it into the kitchen. And my hand touched a bowl and then my fingers went into the bowl and it was full of sweets. Nuggets, chocolates, wrapped, all sorts of sweets. And I had to smile to myself because I'd sat 3 feet away from that big bowl of sweets all night. I didn't know it was there, it didn't bother me. But even when I did know it was there, I wasn't tempted to dip in it, because I don't do that anymore. And I don't need to do that anymore, and I don't want to do that anymore. And it's just so different, and it all feels so different because it's not challenging. I don't have to choose. I just know that I don't do that anymore. And yeah, I can't emphasise just how freeing it is. Because we all know that as a part of this journey, we learn to make better choices. But it's when, for me, those choices have become my default setting. So now if I see a bowl of wrapped sweets of all different kinds, I don't have to choose which one I'm going to have or how many am I going to have. I just don't want them anymore. I can't explain it. I think you know it when you get there. And it's, for me, it's a lovely place to be living, and I'm really appreciative of it. So, dealt with having no bathroom. That was okay, bang on plan. Dealt with going to stay somewhere else for a couple of days. That was okay, bang on plan. Dealt with a really, really, really sad occasion. But I dealt with it by feeling the emotions and not trying to eat them. So that was okay, bang on plan. But none of it was hard work. It's just become my way of living. And even coming back yesterday, you know, driving from a place in South Yorkshire across to Sheffield to drop somebody at the railway station, and then driving back from Sheffield down the M1 back to Nottingham. So we were about 2.5 hours in the car. The old me would have had to eat for that, because I would have been so bored. Never crossed my mind. You know, and it's just so different because I'm not having to white knuckle it. I'm not having to make serious choices. I'm just doing what comes naturally. And it's working. And I feel great. Been a very emotional week, so I am still feeling quite tired in a way that I feel I'm drained. The emotions have drained me. But you know, last week, so many of you said you liked the colour of the top I was wearing. And it actually gave me a real boost. Because I can't look in the mirror and think, does this colour suit me? Do I look all right in this? I know the colours I think I like. And a lovely lady called Olive used to give me a lot of helpful tips about colours and things. If you're still out there, Olive, hi. But to have so many people comment on the video and say, love the colour of your top. And it wasn't anything expensive, it was just a very basic top from M&S. But it gave me such a boost last week when I was feeling so tired and so emotional and so drained. It actually made me feel emotional in a much more positive way, that people had taken the time to boost me by saying things like that. So thank you to everybody who said that. I think I've got blue on today, yeah? Blue in this, but not the same, it's different kind of. But it's given me the confidence to think more about, yeah, I should be wearing stronger colours maybe, because I used to be a bit of a one for black, black or black. Or, if I was being really adventurous, grey, grey, grey or black. And I'm now thinking, yeah, maybe I should be stepping out a bit and wearing stronger colours. So thank you for that. So it's been an eventful week, but I've got to the end of it. I've been to group, had a great group. We had a standing leader, and it was very, very different from what I'm used to. But it was good. It was different, but it was good. I will get to my results in a minute. But first of all, I wanted to touch on something that's been quite big in social media this week, and that is on plan for October. I think Kirsty came up with the idea. Karumrum? I don't know how you say it. Kirsty and Oman came up with the idea, so thanks Kirsty, it's a great idea, and lots of people have picked it up and are running with it. And I said in a couple of other people's blogs, you know, I'm in this, I'm in it and I'm going to do it. Again, I did it in September, I'm going to do it in October, I'm planning to do it in November, and I'm definitely still going to do it in December. But it's good to focus on being on plan every day, because I think it does motivate people. And I have got quite a lot out of watching a lot of the food diaries, and the I don't know how you say it, people vlogging October, vlogging every day in October, and actually vlogging to be on plan. And I've watched quite a few, not everybody's, but I've watched quite a few, and I've still got quite a lot to watch, and I've got to watch people's weigh-in results. Hopefully I'll find time today to watch how people are doing, because I know several of you will have weighed in now. So I'm enjoying that. But I think something that I've really got out of that this week, and that's been highlighted for me, is how many of us do it differently. And that's a really good thing about this plan. It doesn't matter what kind of food you like. It doesn't matter what your personal tastes are. You know, have you got a sweet tooth? Have you got a savoury tooth? Do you like brown rice? Do you like white rice? Do you eat pasta? Don't you eat pasta? You can tailor this plan for your unique and individual needs. And I think it shows, if you watch a number of people vlogging being on plan, what do you have to do to be on plan? You have your healthy extras, you don't exceed your sins, so you don't go below 5, you don't go above 15, you're on plan. The free food, the speed food, all of the, the stuff you can eat plenty of. For me, the best plan is to choose what I like the most and eat that. Pardon me. So things like this salmon, love it. I'll eat that. Somebody else might say, I don't like salmon. That's not for me. You might like pork steak, or you might like Slimming World sausages. I've seen those things in people's food diaries this week. I don't eat those. I do eat vegetarian sausages, but you can do all of that and you can be on plan. So say you watch the food diaries of 10 different vloggers. You get 10 different food diaries. Some of them vary greatly, but they're all on plan. And that's the freedom I find from this plan. Nobody needs to eat the way I eat to be on plan. I don't need to eat the way you eat to be on plan. But we're both on plan. And I'm always stressing this. I only eat food I really enjoy. I'm never going to sit down to a meal that won't satisfy me. Get up from the table and think, I wish I'd had something else. And then be all afternoon craving something else. I don't sit down to it in the first place. And I think that's one of the best things I've learned, apart from portion control, which I think is crucial on this plan. I think portion control is one of the biggest keys to this plan. But then I'm opinionated and I'm not going to go into that today. I know that my portions are still generous, but I know they're not excessive. And I think there's a difference for me between the generous portions I eat today and the excessive portions which kept me fat or stopped me losing weight. So, went to group this morning. The topic of conversation was turning over a new leaf. And the lady who ran the group had leaves, and on the back of them it had a different thing, like it said, do you do an SP day? Do you use Slimming Word tools? What do you use the website for? So each one of us picked a leaf, and then we had to turn it over and read what was on the other side of it. And then we had to say what that meant to us, and then everybody else was invited to join in. It brought up some really interesting conversations, but again, it brought up a conversation quite often about how we do things differently. So even within those things, we're talking about SP days and things like that. Some people said, yes, if I do an SP day, I would have 2 healthy extras. Some of us said, no, we'd only have 2 healthy extra Bs if we did an SP week. The consultant said, you're only right to have 2 healthy extra Bs if you're doing an SP week, not an SP day. It's all open to interpretation. And what I find about Slimming World that sometimes for me is a wee bit wishy-washy is that they're all recommendations. In a lot of ways, that helps you to live like an adult and you're not worried about adhering to strict rules. And I, for one, am not good with rules. If somebody puts tough rules on me, I'm going to rebel. But I think because it's recommendations, sometimes the interpretations can be very extremely this way or very extremely that way. You have to find what works for you. And you have to, and the young lady who took our group today, Sasha, emphasised, you have to protect your own weight loss. Anybody else's weight loss is not your business. That did me good to hear. Because sometimes I watch videos and I'm willing people to do something differently to increase their weight loss or get them a weight loss. And it actually did me good this morning to hear from Sasha, other people's weight losses are not your business. And she wasn't just speaking to me, she was speaking to the group. Yeah, she's right. Nobody else's weight loss is my business, and my weight loss is nobody else's business. But we share it openly and honestly, don't we? But not to be judged. We share it because this is just the fact of life. So I'm going to share what happened to me in group this morning. I went into group, totally comfortable with getting on the scales because I had done what I always do. 4 healthy extras, 15 sins for 7 days in a row. Didn't deviate from it at all because I don't need to. And I got this. Is that right, John?
Yep.
Slimmer of the week. Now, I will confess, there were only probably 2/3 or 3/4 of the number of people in the room that are usually there. So there was maybe 30-ish people, and there's usually a few more. But, as a Target member, and for somebody who's been at Target for 22 months, getting Slimmer of the Week was a lovely surprise. Even though I knew my results at that point, I didn't expect to get Slimmer of the Week. Okay, so what were my results? Well, confidently walked to the scales, kicked my shoes off, took my jacket off, got on the scales, and I had lost. Well, let's put it this way. I wanted a £0.5 loss. Because if I got a £0.5 loss today, that took me to 13 stone total loss. And that's been a little goal in my mind, at the back of my mind. I've not been striving to achieve it. I've been saying to Joe for a few weeks now, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, I'm really comfortable with where I'm at. So when I went to group this morning, I walked to the scales, got on the scales, and I was thinking, please, just come on, God, just give me that £0.5 loss. I deserve it this week. Now, last week I had to maintain. The week before I lost £0.5. The week before that I lost £0.5. So like, come on, God, come through for me. Just give me a £0.5 loss and I will be a happy little tortoise. And the lady said, you've lost £2.5 this week. It was good. I'm pleased. I exceeded my 13 stone loss. I can now comfortably get back to where I've lost 13 pounds. I can now comfortably get myself back to where I've lost 13 stone. But my loss as of today is 13 stone 2 pounds. I'm just trying to work out in my head what I weigh. I started this journey at 308 pounds, 22 stone, and today I weigh 124 pounds, which is 8 stone 12 pounds. And I think that's more than enough. I've gone as far as I need to go. I was discussing with Joe coming home in the car, what do I do from here? Do I add another healthy extra? I honestly don't know. I'm going to take the weekend to think about it. I might add another healthy extra. I might add half an A and half B. I might just continue with what I'm doing with 4 and with my 15 sins. £2.5 loss is a fluke for me at this stage, just the same way for some people can get a gain and it'll be a fluke. I fully expect, even if I don't do anything different, at least £2 of that will be back next week. That's what living at Target is about. So I'm not going to make any rash decisions. I walked 31.71 miles this week, which is kind of below average for me, but it was enough. I didn't walk at all on Thursday, and I didn't do very much yesterday because I was away. So, yeah, it wasn't pushing up exercise that got me a £2.5 loss. It wasn't changing the way I eat. It wasn't decreasing sins. It wasn't decreasing healthy extras. It was just carrying on as normal. I'm accepting that £2.5 loss, but I'm fully expecting probably £2 of it will be back next week, and I'll be fine with that. So that's where I'm at. I think I'll just carry on doing what I'm doing, see where it takes me next week, and be grateful for the results I've got. I am happy with the results I've got, but I don't need to go any further. And that's me for this week. So good luck to everybody who is carrying on with the On Plan October. I will be on plan for October. Do you know, when you're in the best place, where else would you want to be? That's how I feel today. I'm in the best place I can possibly be. I'm not striving to do any better, because this for me is the best it can be. I love it. Love it. Really happy. I don't need to white knuckle it. I am, and I'm going to say this in all sincerity, I am never hungry between meals, because I know now how to eat at meal times in an appropriate way to satisfy my appetite. And that's amazing for me, because I always thought I was hungry. But you know the difference? I'll just touch on this before I go. There's a massive difference that I can actually understand now between head hunger and stomach hunger. And I think when I was overweight and struggling with food and my food obsessions, my biggest enemy was head hunger. Now that I've increased the amount of healthy fat I eat, I don't get head hunger anymore. And this was proved, wasn't it, Joe? Was it last week? When on one day I had king prawns with vegetables, but I didn't add any fat to it.
No, you had king prawns and fruit.
Yeah, one day I had king prawns and veg, and another day I had king prawns and fruit. It was 2 days that week I had king prawns. It's on my food diary anyway. Because I didn't add any fat to either of those meals, I spent the whole afternoon saying to Joe, I'm just not satisfied by what I've eaten. I just don't feel, didn't I? I was like, I don't feel. I wasn't hungry, but I wasn't satisfied. So I guess the word is satiated.
So you were just waiting for your next meal, you said to me.
Yeah, and at 4 o'clock, I said to Joe, God, roll on dinner, you know, the evening meal, which is not like me. But again, I wasn't hungry. I wasn't physically hungry. It was all in here. I was head hungry. Now I know the difference. When I'm feeling like that because I've made a poorer choice at meal times, and I know now that the next, because usually if I use king prawns, I'll put them in a stir fry that's got ghee or something in it, or coconut oil or something. I don't like do the whole protein thing with no fat, because I can't bear to be hungry. If I'm actually hungry, I'm focused on that, not living my life. So I can't do that anymore. So I learned a valuable lesson from that. So now I know the difference between head hunger and stomach hunger. I know what's wise to eat for me. Anyway, I'm going to go. I'm going to say one thing before I go, because I forgot to say it last week. And Joe said, as soon as he turned the camera off, you didn't say what you usually say at the end of your video. So I'm going to say it today. This works if you work it, but it won't if you don't. Have a great week, everybody, on plan. See you next week. Bye.